so can you kind of tell us a little bit about you that the voters should know about?
Well, I was in law enforcement for 30 plus years. I retired as the captain game warden for the Beaumont District. I supervised 25 employees, both commissioned and non-commissioned, over a 5-county area. And I have continued with my continuing education, and I've got over 2,700 hours of law enforcement training and classroom on penal code and criminal justice. And then since I've been judge, I've got over 150 hours of judicial training.
Of course. And can you tell us again why you chose to run for a second term?
I have a service heart and I enjoy helping people, and even though I'm not carrying a badge and gun anymore, I'm still involved with keeping the community safe and being involved in the judicial process.
And like you mentioned, this is a second term that you're trying to go for. Can you kind of tell us how you've handled the sensitive matters involving death and how you plan to continue that for the next 4 years?
Related to deaths?
The portion of your job of having to declare people deceased.
Doing the inquest. What I do, one, with that law enforcement experience, I have investigative skills, so when I go out, I know how to treat a crime scene and I know what we're looking for in some of these things. But you know, the last thing you want to do is barge in and jeopardize a crime scene. But as far as the deaths, I'm very big on confidentiality, and I don't take pictures of people's loved ones, and you know, I don't go around town talking about it. We treat everybody with dignity and respect, and you know, the deal is the family's going through a traumatic event, and we just want to offer them our condolences, our comfort, and see if we can help them in any way.
Of course. And then in the past elections that we've had, there was a proposition that passed about bond reform. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about your thoughts on that bond reform?
I think it's great. There are 35 pages in the Code of Criminal Procedure that have to do with bond conditions and bond and setting bond. And one thing about bond is a judge cannot use it as oppression, and that's clearly stated. But we are not allowed to do a no bond in cases, but with the new constitutional amendments, that did pass where we can start setting a no bond. There's some parameters involved in it, but the thing about bonds that a lot of people don't understand is we also do bond conditions, we do protective orders, and there's certain things that if you do the job correctly, you look at their criminal history, you make sure the protective order, because that's the bottom line, we want to protect victims, and you make sure the protective order is in place, and you make sure that the bond conditions you do are going to keep a victim safe from a violent offender. And some of these bond conditions are required on your DWI cases on second offense, or if there's a child 15 or younger in the vehicle, we've got to, you know, do bond conditions. But just going over there and saying, you know what, I'm gonna do a $2,000 bond, there's a lot of homework needs to go into it to do the job correctly and to operate within the law. And, you know, people will say, well, we've seen y'all do no bonds before. Those are usually indictments out of the district court is when that happens, and the district judge can set a no bond.
Of course. And then in the 4 years that you've already served, how have you been able to ensure fairness and impartiality when making your decision, and how do you plan on continuing that?
The whole time I was in law enforcement, I always wanted to treat people like I wanted to be treated. And as far as when I go over there, I don't look at a color of skin, I don't look at gender, I don't look at all of those things, and I just try to treat people like how I'd want to be treated. But in the same token, I want to treat them in a manner that, to keep them from being a repeat offender or, going out and hurting the public. And sometimes you can't be nice. I mean, sometimes you got to be firm and set a high bond or do this or set bond conditions. And, the crooks may think you're not the nicest guy in the world, but if I do it for one, and that's the way I set bail and bond, I strive for consistency.
And then we've mentioned that Precinct 3 is the largest geographical and busiest. How have you been able to manage the workload and ensure that cases are handled efficiently?
What we have e-file, we have an open door policy in the office, and I've been blessed with 2 great court clerks, and we schedule, like an eviction has got to be done in a certain time frame, we just schedule them, and if it means we come in early or stay late, but we try to keep our docket down to a minimum because we don't let stuff sit in that office, we address it immediately.
And can you kind of tell us a little bit about what is possibly the biggest challenge of your position and how you try to handle it on a day-to-day basis?
The biggest challenge I would say nowadays is when you're doing the bonds, and because you're looked at under a microscope. We have a judicial review board out of Austin, and we have to do the PRS, the public reporting system. We have to be consistent. We can't, so that is a big part of our job that takes a lot of time. And, with experience, it gets easier, I'll put it that way.
And you've already been in this position for 1 term. Is there any changes that you'd like to make if you're elected for a 2nd term?
The one change that I would like to see happen is we have reached out to the schools, and I would like to be more involved in the schools than what we are. We'd try to go around prom and graduation and talk to the students, let them know the dangers of drinking and driving, but also let them look at it from the judicial part, what could happen, the bond conditions that could be set on them, or the fines, or the consequences. But I would love to get into the government classes and kind of let them know that, what the justice of the peace is. We are the people's court. I want people to feel comfortable when they come into my office, and, hopefully mentor some young people, whether they get into being a justice of the peace or if they want to join the police academy. Right now, it's hard to recruit law enforcement officers, and I would like to be involved in part of, trying to get that interest into the criminal justice system.
Mm-hmm. And then why exactly should the residents of Hardin County elect you for a 2nd term?
The justice of the peace job has evolved over the years, where everything we deal with is law related, and each thing that we deal with, whether it's civil or it's criminal, all of those things have got different aspects of the law that the judge has got to follow. A mobile home eviction is different from a residential eviction. A commercial eviction is different than those evictions, and we have to follow the law there. The criminal side of it, you have to follow the penal code and the code of criminal procedure, and I'm a master peace officer, so that means that I had to study all of those classes and take the courses required. and 90% of them revolved around the penal code and the code of criminal procedure and the Texas rules of evidence.
And then just campaign-wise, what are kind of the things that are leading your campaign for this go-around?
That are leading it through.
Like, what are your, like, what are the things that you're focusing on for your campaign?
What we're campaigning on is the experience, the prior law enforcement, and trying to let people know that the justice of the peace is the people's court, and I have an open door policy in my office, and we do a lot of stuff, and some of the stuff that we do is not necessarily in front of the bench, you know, but we try to help people. And a lot of these offices here, you'll see you have to ring a button and go in. That doesn't happen in my courtroom. I want to be accessible. I want to be able to guide people and give them advice and try to help them before it ever goes to court.
Is there anything else that I haven't asked that you'd like to let the voters know, or anything else?
I would just humbly ask for their support and vote. And you know, my phone number for the last 30-something years has been public record, and I've put my phone number out there. And anytime anybody has a question or doesn't understand something, come see me, call me. You know, we want to help. That's the bottom line. We want to serve and we want to help. And, you know, part of that too is if you have conservative values, which I do, we are constantly trying to save the taxpayers money. And that's another goal that I would like to just build on. We've done it over the last 4 years, and I'd like to continue to do that.
And then, just an extra question, aside of doing what you do of bonds and all the other tickets and all that kind of stuff, could you kind of explain the community involvement that you've been able to get these past few years?
Well, what we do is, you know, some people are not able to pay their tickets or whatever, and we always give them an option if you want to do community service. And a lot of people would rather do community service, and because they, you know, they understand they were speeding or they didn't wear their seatbelt or whatever, but money's tight. And we let them go out and help the Little League or help the church or help the fire department, whatever. You know, I don't nail them down to one particular nonprofit organization, but that's always an option for folks. And then on my part as a judge, we can't be involved in fundraisers and stuff because of the judicial committee, but I try to go out. I don't make any fanfare out of what I do, but we do go out. And you know, kids is the most important thing in the world to me. And if I can help the kids in baseball, softball, Operation Graduation, 4-H, FFA, that's what I enjoy doing.
Okay. Do you find it do you find it difficult at times to juggle being justice of the peace and also being able to go out into the community more often?
No, because I've lived pretty much in the public eye life for so many years that I'm going to be myself, whether you know, I'm in the justice of the peace deal. But you know, I'm very fortunate where I live that we have the greatest people in the world. I could have lived anywhere when I was with the game wardens, but I chose Hardin County, and the reason I want to stay here is the people. We've got great people, and I kind of feel like I'm in my niche because everyone around here loves to hunt and fish, and so do I.